Greetings, one and all. We've got CJRB in the house. Yes, they're part of Artisan Knives, or Artisan Cutlery, as I call them. And I got this knife from my buddy Russell at Artisan. Sent it to me along with 3 other of the fairly newly released CJRB models so I could put them on my channel and everybody can have a look-see. And this one here, the Agave, which is a 1911, okay? Obviously contoured G10 scales, liner lock. Here's your lockup. That's a good 30%. These liners are embedded in the knife. Now, not all of their models do that. Right here we have the Rampart, and that's not. They're showing there, right? Rampart, huh? And, but the Gobi, yeah, they are embedded here. So there's yet another one. They're embedded. Now, and this, on the Feldspar, they're embedded as well. So most of these are, and these all weigh anywhere from, the Gobi's the lightest, like 3.6 ounces, up to like 4.1 ounces. So they're right in there. They're all about 3.5 inches blade-wise, and overall around 8 to 8.25. So interesting designs though. This one, the Feldspar and the Gobi, are probably my favorites out of these 4. But we're here to talk about the Agave. Comes in different colors, in G10, got a little surround on the pivot, open design, no backspacer, but kind of nicely machined standoffs here, deep carry pocket clip, lanyard hole through the rear, right or left hand deep carry. The little gold surround is aluminum. There's your little stop, and we will disassemble this knife later on in this video. You got a big choil area, so I guess you could put your finger up here if you would like to do so for more accurate, handling, cutting. And yes, it's sharp. Wow, okay, yeah. It's pretty sharp right out of the box, so no problems there. Stonewash blade, D2, and, there's a lot of D2 out there, especially in the budget knife category. So to me, I could deal with like 14C28N or N690 or some others. It would be nice. It'd be nice to see a little bit of a transition over to some more stainless. It's not that D2 is not a good steel to use, although this formula can vary from the US to China, etc., in the amount of vanadium content, and it can be a little bit more finicky in the heat treat as to how the final cutting performance will happen. Where OS8, VG10, some of the others, N690 and stuff, maybe not so much, and have a higher chromium content, so they don't tend to have any. They're easier to care for, don't have as much pitting and stuff issues that might happen in a wet climate where they're exposed to moisture. You got a flipper tab up here. Check it out. It's pretty good size. It's not ridiculous, but it's starting to get to the ridiculous side. I don't know. The Gobi, not so much, do you think? But maybe close. We've only got one other flipper. This is way forward. They could have cut this back a little bit too. I'm kind of hyper weird on flipper tabs because I think sometimes people overdo them. But, just depends. You got big old fingers. You really want something to get a hold of. So, but although if you're really talking about getting a hold of it, then how come there's no jimping? And there's no jimping. Okay, so that probably saves some money. And these are knives that are well below $50. I think some of the CJRBs are in the $30-some range, which, you know, you're getting a real D2, contour G10. So far, ceramic bearings. So that's pretty good value, and they seem to be solid. Disassemble and reassemble with no hardware failures. So far, for me at least, and I've done a few. So yeah, lockup, yeah, that's about 30% on there. And I'm not getting any lock rock blade play on any of these, and they've been centered. Okay, so, wow, no complaints there. I think they're pretty well made. And the drop is pretty nice. There's a good fidget factor here, and it gets over that detent ball. So you don't get hung up there. So you can do this and drive like your wife or girlfriend crazy while you're watching a movie. Because, you know, sometimes you just run out of things to cut, but you don't want to put the knife down. This is fidget stuff. The design flows really well, goes right back into this bolster and it continues on here. So that's nice. Now, there's no other way to open this knife. There's no thumb studs or cutaways. I don't know. Let me look at this again before I lose it. Like, oh, by the way, while we're doing this, the pass-through is really easy to get to. That's nicely done here. So, yes, not a problem there at all. Now, as I was trying to say, yeah, I think they could have given us a little bit more blade, don't you think? Although, you know, they got to account for this. So you really got, I mean, I might be countering myself, although that blade was never going to get low enough in here to cut through a lanyard. And it could have given us a little bit more. But this is kind of an unusual shape, so it's hard for me to kind of make that call. But just kind of looking at mini knives and how they roll, usually I'm just about touching the blade when they come down here, okay, with my finger. And so that seems like it could have, they may have left some on the table there. Although if you look at it, does it look disproportional? I don't think it does. I think it's okay. Well, if you want to talk to, you know, big long handle and not a terribly, terribly long blade, the Paramilitary 2 is one of them, and we all love that. So, and there we are compared to it, and guess what? It's a full-size EDC. This knife is. Let's put the tape on it, and then we'll throw it on the scales and get that out of the way. But 3.5, 90 millimeter, you know, blade, and we're up to about 8 1/4, about 21 centimeters, not quite. Okay, so what do we got for this? Will be maybe 1/8 inch. Okay, yeah, 1/8 inch blade, so about 3.2 millimeters if we can get there, 3.15. And then, see, these are all running, all these four are running about the same. 12.8 1/2 inch. And most of them are running right there too. So this is really pretty much per spec of all the four that I just showed you on the table. Let's throw it on the scale, see what we got for weight. Nice contoured G10. You can get it in different colors, so that's good. 110 grams. 3.89 ounces. So the Gobi is the lightest at like 3.6 something. So that's 3.9. 3.6 on the Gobi. The Feldspar, 4.13. And the Rampart, 4. So like I was saying, 3.6 something to 4.1 is how they're all running. And they're all running about the same length and, blade length, overall length, blade stock thickness, the same. They're all stonewash. They're all user knives, you know. But this kind of flows nice, and it's an interesting design. We'll disassemble it here in a minute. Ergos. Yeah, I'm not big on them when they tail off like here. I want a little bit more depth. I'll tell you what, one of the best ergo knives is the PM2, and it's not tailing off here, okay? It gives you a little bit of the canoe effect where you got to fit in that area, but no, and it gives you some height here. This, I'm losing height when I'm getting out here, so that makes me less comfortable. But I mean, the hand is adaptable, so yes, I can hold on to it. Reverse grip, actually more comfortable. More comfortable. Now, of course, if you're going to go up and work like this, then this is actually more comfortable because my pinky is here. So, yeah, that gives me better purchase. But all is not lost. It's not that untenable here. Although, your deep carry pocket clip, and this I measured out to about 70 thousandths of a gap here. Not the 90 that a lot of people would like to make it comfortably over the lip of their pocket. And I'm talking about the distance from the top of the screws to the pocket clip. And in this one, in the Gobi, it hits 90. The rest of these are all around 70. That's not quite as much height. And yes, my big bitch is, flatten the heads of those screws and you give yourself more space there. It really makes it go in and out of the pocket. For that final push right there, easier. So that would be my recommendation there. Other than that, I mean, the design flows, it is what it is. I mean, it's not up to me to state whether a design is correct or not, because it's all creativity there. Whether it flows or not, yeah, okay, and it does flow. You got some nice machined work here on this pivot, and the other screws are just kind of button top, but I mean, that's what you'd put on a budget-oriented knife. Yeah. What's my balance point? Come on, give me a balance point here. It's about right there. There's my balance point on it. D10. D10's appropriate on this knife. It's fine. You're not going to get to finger flick it or thumb flick it or whatever. There's no cutouts. There's no thumb studs. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't real easy. So I'd say it's somewhere between a 4 and a 5 on my D10 scale. But it rolls out pretty easy with just a casual pull on the flipper tab. Push button, snaps it right out. Yeah, it's kind of typical for most of the flipper knives, especially budget flippers that I handle. So nothing unusually weak, and definitely not unusually strong on this knife. Let's take it apart. And what are we going to do? Well, I know we need a number 8 for the pivot. We need a number 6 for the body screws. Let's see what we got going on. Now, the other CJRB knives that I've taken apart, the Gobi and the Rampart, it was a D-shaped pivot that came back through the lock bar side, through the pocket clip side. And this was the actual screw, because it's a D-shaped one-piece pivot. Why they think they need to give you access on this backside, I don't know, but it's nice that they did, even though that's not going to turn. And that's not turning. This is turning. So they just reverse the pivot and the screw. And you can do that too. So there you go. It's a D-shaped pivot. So you just give it kind of a... And then when you know it's not turning, don't force it. Just go to the other side first. And then if that's not turning, then you need to stabilize both sides, turn both ways, and see which one gives. Oh my God. That doesn't happen to me very often, thank God. And so here's your little pivot surround. Here's your screw. And yes, they popped it through this way, which probably just the assembly person decided, okay. So let's take the rest of it apart. We've got a body screw here. And I'm not sure, and there it goes, and I'm not sure I need, yeah, I do, pocket clip. I think one of these screws actually goes through to the standoff. Well, let's just take it off anyhow. What the hell? So we may have a differential length on these pocket screws, is my guess. And I'm right. That one looks shorter than that one. But that one goes through to that standoff, so the top screw. Make note of that if you do a disassembly. Okay. There we are on the lock bar side. Now we got scale. Contoured G10 with an embedded liner. Let's get the other stuff out of the way here. And then here's our liner. Should come off pretty easily, which it did. And there it is. Bingo bango, and we've got a ceramic detent ball. See, we've got a D shape right here in this liner, so that stabilizes that pivot. And we got a cutaway here for the standoff. Kind of unusual that it's kind of an open cutaway, but it is. And this is stone wash, so knocks down all the edges. And yes, we have ceramic bearings, folks, both ways, and it looks really clean. And the bearing just falls right out because it's really clean, really nice. Okay, that works. I'm not sure, but what I might reverse this. But the other models were reversed, so I think I could probably build this back from this side, and so this hits here and won't turn, and you can disassemble it from the front, but no matter. Let's put her back together. So we know this is the lock bar side because we've got a machined out area that accommodates your lock bar movement. Okay, there's where your blade stop would be. It's on the table for now. And let's build it back with this in the back. It did come out the front, but the other two that I did were like this. So you got a one-piece pivot here. Throw it up through there. Put you some bearings on there. Throw 4 quarts of lube. That's a joke. On there. Put your blade on. Might be a good idea to put your stop pin in here shortly. Blade stop. So we'll do that. Okay. And of course, I failed to do another thing. I was going to put a little bit here on this track, so I put it on the detent track and hole. These going back in, already put loop there, okay? Blade stop. There we go. I never pulled the liner off of this, so this whole scale and liner still hooked up. Let's just slap it on top. And we're hooked up right there. Lost my little surround. Got it back. Oh, you know what? I forgot my surround here. Push it back through. And the pivot goes like this. Almost, kind of, sort of. There we go. Got it put back. My pivot surround. That. And that was an omission that wasn't good, and I might have had to pull it all back apart, but I didn't. I was sly enough to be able to do that. Stick them back on here. Now let's put a body screw in here. And then we'll put our pocket clip back on. And that's good. Pocket clip right back on. And let's find a good home for it right there. And right here. Okay. We're good. Are we centered? We're centered. Have we got blade play? Nope. How's the action? Nice. All right, folks. I mean, got the Agave back together. No blade play, no lock rock. Came apart, went back together. If I remember my pivot surrounds, that's always a good thing too. Wow. But yes, easy in, easy out, no hardware issues. Ceramic bearings are in place, and I think there's a lot of positives about the CJRB knives. First of all, they're offering a lot of different designs. They're really affordable. The D2 we've tested on Artisan previous to the CJRB line. The Rockwell numbers were pretty high on their knives, like at least 61 to 62. Some were higher. So hardness doesn't mean that the actual overall heat treat was done successfully, but it's one number we can measure. So yes, and these are users, and yeah, just put them on your strop. I sell strops, so you might check with me if you want a strop. We have some great deals. And you know what? It really helps keep your knife, the edge, and it's workable steel. Keeps the edge in shape so you don't have to go to a full sharpening as often. Definitely works for me. There, of course, is the Agave, the feldspar, really cool. That's the 1912. Then you've got the Rampart, another very different design, and a Gobi, which is a 1906. Really fascinating there. They come in different colors. This one's flat, very textured. The rest of these, not so heavily textured, and they're all contoured. So, different designs, CJRB, keep it in mind. Thanks for hanging out. We do love them knives, and you guys stay sharp.